The hosts of The View had a collective meltdown on live TV after Donald Trump was announced president of the United States for a second time.
Yeah.
It was pretty red last night.
I don't know. I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have. And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that.
There was a sober mood on set as the ladies of The View turned up mostly dressed in black in response to the victory. This commentator said, "This day just keeps getting better. The View is all dressed in black for the Democrats' funeral party." And this commentator relished in the hysteria, saying, "The hosts of The View are currently having an epic meltdown live on television. This is the best thing you'll watch all day." Sunny Hostin then went on to blame uneducated white women and Latino men for Kamala Harris's loss.
52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms? And why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
They then went completely rogue and said social media needs to be regulated to stop this from happening again.
Think critically.
Well, it would help if we could regulate social media, because one of the biggest offenders is D.C. and Congress have not been able to do one thing in regard to the rogue corporations of social media.
It's not going to get any better with Elon Musk now in the administration.
And the hosts of The View weren't the only ones having a meltdown on live TV. Jen Psaki had a tantrum about Elon Musk.
I think this is a big, huge part of the story that it's hard to even digest fully at this moment. But you have Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, X, who is a disinformation propagandist and now has could potentially have a direct line to the Oval Office.
Joy Reid called Florida fascist.
It's a pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida, and that kind of extreme, sort of extremist, right-wing, fascist-type government in Florida, does that make it a more attractive place?
And over on CNN, Jake Tapper was gobsmacked when he realized Kamala Harris couldn't outperform Joe Biden in any states.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
But Sky News hosts Caleb Bond and James McPherson revealed Australian media was a little more forgiving of Donald Trump.
Well, as you would expect, Trump's victory is going to be across all of the papers tomorrow. So let's have a look at how they're going to report it. Caleb, you've got the Daily Telegraph.
Indeed, they are calling it the MAGA miracle. Don pulls off the greatest political comeback of all time. It says, Trump towers. Donald Trump last night pulled off the most astonishing comeback in political history, sweeping back into the White House with a thumping victory that left Kamala Harris and her Democrats' hopes in tatters. In a win that defied polls and a divisive Democrat campaign that cast him as a modern-day Hitler, Mr. Trump vowed to usher in a new golden age for America. I wish, speaking of Trump Towers, that we'd seen him come down the escalator again like he did in 2016.
That was epic.
How good would that have been?
That was absolutely epic. To the Herald Sun now, similar headline, he's done it again. Trump pulls off incredible victory in US election comeback king. And what a comeback it was. I gotta say, it was the moment I saw the Amish coming out to vote for Trump in the state of Pennsylvania. That was the moment for me. I was like, we've got it in the bags. It reminded me of when the trees, the Ents, decide to go to battle in the Lord of the Rings, the Twin Towers. That was incredible. That is when, before anyone had called anything, I was like, you've got the Amish out voting for you. That's 19 more electoral votes. We're done here.
All right, the Adelaide Advertiser, they've gone with "you're rehired," pointing out, of course, the fact that Donald Trump, I think, is only the second president in US history to have come back for a second term after losing office. But they've also gone for a religious theme. Donald Trump stormed back to the White House in emphatic style on Wednesday and declared God had spared him from an assassin's bullet to save his country.